0010. This is, applicant is Josu Malvez, and it is, the address is 19209 Altenburg Road, Harvard. The request is for A1 to A1C, conditional use permit allowing for a landscape business with outdoor storage. This is a 2.6 acre parcel at the southeast corner of the intersection of Altenburg Road and Schultz Road in Alden Township, and the PIN number is 0231226001. This hearing was heard on July 24th, and after the testimony portion was closed, one of the board members recused himself because he had a relationship with a person across the street. I was not present at the hearing, so I was asked to be the seventh person. I have to disclose that I was not at the hearing. I read the transcript. I also own a farm that's about a half mile down Schultz Road from this parcel, but there's no house on it. There's nothing, this won't impact my property one way or the other, so there's no conflict there. So I was told, and I believe that I'm impartial on this and I can vote on this petition. So it was, we have to do the voting portion of that hearing then right now. So staff offers the following conditions for consideration. Number one, the conditional use shall expire 10 years from the date of approval by the McHenry County Board. Number two, the conditional use shall substantially conform to the attached site plan labeled Boundary and Topographic Survey prepared by Vanderstap and Land Surveying with the last revisions date of May 21, 2025. Number three, the operation of the landscape business shall meet the standards of section 16.56.030.z of the Unified Development Ordinance. Number four, the outdoor storage of any commercial vehicles shall meet the standards of section 16.56.050K.2 of the Unified Development Ordinance. 5, if any structure or part thereof within the conditional use permit area is used for the business and not for a strictly residential purpose, then said structure or portion thereof shall meet the applicable building codes and obtain all required permits for such a use. Number 6, the applicant shall submit a plat of dedication for right-of-way along Altenburg Road to the McHenry County Division of Transportation within 120 days of the County Board approval of this conditional use permit. Number 7, the applicant shall submit a copy of a driveway permit issued by Alden Township within 60 days of the County Board approval of this conditional use permit. Number 8, all other federal, state, and local laws shall be met. Number 9, maintenance of motorized work equipment, including but not limited to trucks, bobcats, skid steers, wood chippers, etc., shall not be performed at this location. Are there any other proposed conditions? I have a proposed condition. I visited this site after I was asked to vote on this, and I saw business vehicles belonging to Harvard Paving on the site, and as well I saw brush piles. I saw a large pile of firewood that they said they aren't doing anymore. I saw broken stones, pavers, stacks of pallets, plywood. But the big thing that I want this condition for is that today when I visited the site, then there was different vehicles there for a different landscape business, Malbro's Landscaping, which belongs to the owner of the property and the person that signed the petition. And so this property is so darn small anyhow. Well, I'm just going to say I want this to be only one business can be operated out of this property, and if I have a second, I'll speak to it.
I will second that.
Okay, so this is a very small piece of property. I don't think they have room for all the equipment for one business, let alone two. And I think there should be a condition that only one business can be operated out of this parcel. And the person who said that he is operating out of this in the testimony at the hearing is Eloy Aguirre with Harvard Paving. So I would want just one business. Is there any other discussion on this?
I agree.
So if there's no other discussion, I'll call for the vote. Just a moment, make it mine. So this would be adding condition number 10. I'll call for the vote. Mr. Eldridge?
Yes.
Ms. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Schnabel?
Yes.
Ms. Beverly?
Yes.
Ms. Donner?
Yes.
Mr. Koenig?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, so condition number 10 is approved. Are there any other proposed conditions? And I would entertain a request.
Madam Chairman, I move acceptance of the conditions as amended.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Eldridge and seconded by Ms. Donner
Yes, ma'am.
to approve the conditions. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote. Mr. Eldridge?
Yes.
Ms. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Schnabel?
Yes.
Ms. Beverly?
Yes.
Ms. Donner?
Yes.
Mr. Koenig?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. So the conditions are approved, 7-0. At this time, I would entertain a motion for the request of this.
Madam Chairman, I move acceptance of the petition, subject to the conditions.
Second that motion.
It's been moved by Mr. Eldridge, seconded by Ms. Donner. Discussion, Mr. Eldridge.
Yes, this is a roughly 2.5 acre parcel at the intersection of Altenburg Road and Schultz Road, not far from Illinois 173. In my view, and it's a request for a landscaping business, which seems to be, according to the testimony, largely hardscaping and rather than mowing and snow removal and things like that, which are most of the landscaping firms that we see. In principle, I don't have a problem with that kind of a business in a location like this. I'm not sure it's a bad location for such a business. What gives me pause and has me still conflicted about this is there was a good deal of testimony that the people on the site don't follow rules very well, that they're messy, that they have tenants who live in a residence there, who keep the neighbors up at night, that there are vehicles for several different businesses there at various times that are not related to the primary business. And I am led to wonder if this is going to be a ongoing neighborhood problem. On the other hand, a lot of the things that I find wrong with the site are things that denying this petition really wouldn't address, because I think a lot of the issues are things that may be the result of residential tenants and their invited guests who are there of right. And I do think that the petitioner, whether or not this is granted, needs to work very hard to clean up his act in terms of problems that are created for the neighbors or disturbing the neighbors, or he's likely to see a sheriff's police there a great deal of the time. Having said that, I am inclined, though haven't firmly made up my mind, to support the petition.
Ms. Gardner.
I agree with a lot of what Mr. Eldridge said. I do think that this is probably a suitable site for this type of business. However, it's imperative that it is for a business. Now it is written into the conditions that it must be only one business. And also, it's also very important in a business like yours, which is not popular. We have a lot of these coming through, and a lot of people don't want them near them. So in your best interest, you should keep a very clean nose on this. You really need to be a very good neighbor. And hoping that that is the case, I also am inclined to approve.
Mr. Schnabel.
Duly noted all the comments so far. A lot of truth involved with that. We never have a guarantee of how anyone will operate their business, but if we were to issue approval for this, at least after that, we would have some type of enforcement mechanism available. And hopefully we wouldn't need to use it. So I'm leaning in favor at this time.
Ms. Beverly.
Enough said.
Thank you. I'm looking truly at the approval standards for conditional use permits. Number one requires that the petitioner has demonstrated the ability to meet applicable standards, use standards, and site development standards. Based on the testimony, the petitioner has not done that. Number two is that the sites shall be situated so the proposed use is compatible. That's viscous, but okay. Number three is that the establishment, maintenance, and operation of the conditional use shall not be detrimental or endanger the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare of the neighboring vicinity. We had lots of testimony that established this condition is not met. People were very upset with the state of the property based on Ms. Kustra's statement today. That problem continues. I do not find that it meets the criteria of number three. Number four, that the conditional use shall not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity. We had a lot of testimony to that effect as well. I do not find that the petitioner satisfies number four. Number five, shall not substantially diminish and impair property value within the neighborhood. I am not an expert. I cannot weigh in on that. Adequate utilities are available. That adequate measures have been taken or will be taken to provide egress and ingress. That's been established that that's going to happen, and that the conditional use shall in other respects conform to the applicable regulations. That, based on Ms. Kustra's statements and the testimony from neighbors, is not happening. The conditional use is reasonably in the interest of the public welfare. There was substantial testimony to the effect that that was not the case, and that adequate measures will be taken to protect the groundwater recharge and groundwater quality. Given the state of the property at this time, I do not find that that condition is satisfied. Because each of these conditions must be satisfied for us to move forward with a conditional use, I do not find that this meets the standards.
Ms. Donner.
After listening to Ms. Beverly and the rest of the board members, I am leaning to Mr. Schnabel's comments in that up until this time, they put work into this. It is a viable, I believe it's a viable possibility to do what they want to do. I am more in favor than not.
Mr. Kernick.
I agree with the comments made by Ms. Beverly. And I also point out that the standards for a conditional use permit, other than some other ordinances that we consider, require that each of the standards be met, that it's not simply a balancing of all of the standards. It strikes me that with the petition for the conditional use pending, that the place as observed by the chair on her visit was a mess. And because of that, my view is I would be against this petition.
I will say it was a mess.
Thank you.
I made a list of what I saw today, and things just varied so much from the testimony. First of all, there were 8 cars in the driveway. They testified that there were 3 employees in the house, 4 employees total, and people parked along Alden Road. There was 1 car, or along Schultz Road. There was 1 car along Schultz Road. Otherwise, there were 7 cars in the driveway to the home and in the front yard of the home. There was a trailer with a compactor roller, mini backhoe, log splitters. When I was there the first time, there was a truck and a trailer back by the pile of firewood. Today, that was gone, and all the log splitter equipment was there, and a new pile of firewood. And specifically in the testimony, they said, no, they aren't doing firewood anymore there. They had plenty, and the neighbors were complaining about the noise of that, and so they said, we don't do that anymore. There was also a chipper. There's seen the chipper on site. A lot of broken stones, pallets, plywood. There was mulch. There was piles of sand and gravel, but huge piles of firewood. And so I just don't feel that I can trust the testimony of the petitioner in what they were doing and what they said they were going to do. Also, I saw several gas cans along the ground, as well as 5-gallon buckets of oil type stuff that this is a Sarah area. Everything is supposed to be contained in a building, and none of that was done. And so I also don't believe they have met the standards in our ordinance. I don't believe that they have met number 3, that the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the conditional use shall not be detrimental to or endanger the public's health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare of the neighboring vicinity. Also, number 4, it shall not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity where the purpose is already permitted. And really, this site is so small, when you drive onto it, there's no room for all this equipment. Plus, if you really were going to park employees on that area on the site plan, there's just no room. It's just way too small. So I don't believe that that there is room for ingress and egress to even put all this stuff in the area that they say that they want to do for storage. So I just believe it's way too small of a site. And so I'm opposed to the petition. I don't believe it's in the interest of public welfare to have this conditional use here. So I will be voting against it. So I'll call for the vote. Mr. Eldridge.
Yes, well, frankly, based on our chairman's visit of today and the fact that they apparently have not cleaned up the site at all since the testimony and the contrary testimony, that has swayed me, and I'm going to vote no.
Ms. Gartner.
No.
Mr. Schnabel.
I have to agree with Mr. Eldridge and vote no.
Ms. Beverly.
No.
Ms. Donner.
No.
Mr. Kernick.
No.
And I will vote no. So the motion fails 0-7.
Madam Chairman, I would put forth a motion to deny the petition.
Second.
The motion to deny is made by Mr. Eldridge and seconded by Mr. Kernick. I'm just going to write this down. Any discussion? Then an aye vote or a yes vote is to deny this petition. Mr. Eldridge.
Aye.
Ms. Gartner.
Aye.
Mr. Schnabel.
Aye.
Ms. Beverly.
Aye.
Ms. Donner.
Aye.
Mr. Kernick.
Aye.
And I vote aye, so this motion is denied 7-0. So now, so that petition is finished. And we will move on to the next item on our agenda, which is, just give me a moment.
Should we take a 5-minute break?
Yeah, sure, let's do that. 5-minute break, and then I can get organized. Is this your same?
We're gonna move on to the next one. So it'll still go on the meeting board.
I know, it's, I. All right.
It's probably Monday. Yes. I get in the zone.
For this one, I suppose we should have maybe realized, but you were at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
So,
Yes, so it's just the left word to go
Okay.
forward and back, and then the red line if you want to use the laser.
okay.
Yep, thank you.
We'll wait for our one board member to come in. Well, right, I was doing something fun in the morning, and then in the afternoon, I thought it was a really fun day. It wasn't, but it was already. You can handle
Should
it.
have done it early. We had
So we only have to go.
Really?
I don't know.
And along the
One
road.
one of them followed.
Yeah.
And then two of them came later and leaved him and I took over.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
I would have never guessed that, because I watched the video last evening.
they were way in the back, you went to see them.
In most cases, right, like,
I mean, it went well.
the testimonies from everybody.
Smoother than a lot of the ones we've been.
Yes, considering you had a whole lot to do yesterday.
How many people were in the audience? Of course, there was 3 different petitions.
Yeah, I would say 40. I mean, it was pretty full, you know.
Minutes.
Should I go look for 'em?
Okay, I'll bring the meeting back to order. We will now address application Z25-0067. This is a conditional use permit to allow for a commercial solar energy facility. The applicant is Coin Station Road Solar LLC. The property consists of approximately 74.96 acres and is located on the east side of Coin Station Road, approximately 562 feet south of the intersection of Ernesti Road and Coin Station Road in Grafton Township, Illinois. This would be PIN number 18-20-100-002. At this time, I'll have the members of the Zoning Board of Appeals introduce themselves and the township in which they reside, starting on my left.
Jessica Beverly, Door Township.
Mary Donner, Greenwood Township.
Charlie Eldridge, Richmond Township.
I'm Linnea Kustra in Alden Township.
Vicki Gardner from Nunda Township.
Kurt Schnabel, Riley Township.
Bill Kearney, Grafton Township.
This petition has been reviewed and the following items have been received prior to today's scheduled hearing. Publisher's certificate of publication from a newspaper is dated August 13, 2025, and thereby meets ordinance requirements. Affidavit of posting was signed and date posted was August 12, 2025, and thereby meets ordinance requirements. Affidavit of mailing was signed and date mailed was August 12, 2025, and thereby meets ordinance requirements. The survey has been checked against the petition, legal notice, and publication in the newspaper, and all three match. The filing fees have been paid. The endangered species consultation has been received, and the McHenry County Soil and Water Conservation District report has been received. This would be NRI 25-036-4697. For those of you who have never been to a zoning hearing before, first of all, if you have trouble hearing, I invite you just to come up closer. We're not going to bite, and neither is the petitioner. If you'd like to come up, I mean, there's even another chair up in front if you have trouble. Otherwise, you know, just come up closer so that you can hear, because we don't have microphones today. And now how the hearing works is the petitioner will present their case, why the solar farm should be here at this location. When they get done with their testimony, they will be asked questions by the board and then by staff, and then if any member of the public has a question regarding their testimony, you'll have the ability to ask your questions. We ask you to limit yourself to 3 minutes and then pass on your questions to somebody else if they haven't been answered. When everybody's spoken, if there's still some questions that need to be answered, I'll allow you more time, but we want to spread it out. Also, anybody that will speak, this is a quasi-judicial hearing. Rules of testimony apply, so anyone who speaks will be under oath, whether you're asking questions or making a statement. And so at this time, if you think you'd like to speak, of course, anybody with the petitioner and the staff will, but I will need to swear you in. So if you think you'd be speaking, please raise your right hand. Do you affirm that the testimony you give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. And then at the end, when all is done, and you'll have an opportunity to make a statement. You'll have 3 minutes to make a statement, how you feel about the petition after all the testimony has been given and all the questions have been asked. But before we even start, I would like Kim to just go through with us the standards from the state and why we are limited somewhat in what we can do with solar farms in McHenry County.
Sure, so I'm just going to read this right from the Public Act 102-1123. Request for a conditional use permit for a commercial solar energy facility shall be approved if the request is in compliance with the standards and conditions imposed within the Act, the zoning ordinance adopted consistent with this code, and the conditions imposed under state and federal statutes and regulations. A county may not adopt zoning regulations that disallow commercial solar energy facilities from being developed or operated in any district zoned to allow agricultural or industrial uses. So essentially, as long as the proposed project complies with these minimum siting standards that the state has put forward, the county is not able to deny that request.
So at this time, I'll turn it over to the petitioner. If you would introduce yourself, and as a reminder, this meeting is being recorded. So if you can't just all be, if one person says their piece and then introduces themselves, and then we'll take testimony from each person, that would be helpful.
Sure. So I'll be speaking of the majority of the presentation. My name is Dawn Fisher. I am a director of solar development for Ameresco. I have been in the energy field about 20 years and have been focused on solar in Illinois for the past 5. I also have quite a number of people here to help answer any questions that I'm unable. So Paul Raduca is a senior director of project development for Ameresco. Olivia Derrig is the our legal representative from FGPG Law. And then Rob Bukowski is our civil engineer who worked on the site plan for this project. And then Luis Alegria is the electrical engineer and also head of our development engineering team. So hopefully we'll be able to answer any of your questions as we move forward. So I wanted to start by telling a little bit about Ameresco. We've heard in the past that there's sometimes concerns over solar development companies going under and solar systems are left, abandoned or defunct. And I just want to say that's not Ameresco. Ameresco has been around since 2000. We have over 1,500 employees, 50 offices. We're an international company, and on this next slide, you'll see all the different types of industry we're involved in. So we're not just involved in solar. We do renewable natural gas. We do a lot of energy efficiency. We have offices in downtown Chicago and Oak Brook. So we do a lot of work just across the state in a lot of different areas. And the point of that is that we are resilient for market fluctuations. So a change in one market isn't going to put us under. So just wanted to cover that real briefly. We are, although the applicant is Coin Station Road Solar, Ameresco is a sole member of that and will be the general contractor for construction and also do the operation and maintenance for the life of the project. So quick project summary. You have the site plan as part of your packet, but just want to show it here again. The parcel is 75 acres, so this is just south of the Animal House Shelter. The parcel is basically surrounds the Animal House Shelter, but the location of the project is on the southern 40 acres of it. The type of system will be single axis trackers where the solar modules move with the sun movement. The module type is a fully encapsulated crystalline silicone cells, so they are not hazardous, they are not regulated as hazardous material. It's the type of cell we use all across our solar projects in the country. And for the first year of electricity generation, it's just 10,500,000 kilowatt hours, which equates to about 1,500 electricity for homes. I also want to point out this is going to be a community solar project, and I'll talk a little bit about what that means and the benefits to the community that provides later. I wanted to go through your principal use standards so we could show and demonstrate that we've met the requirements of your ordinance. So I'll try to be brief and go through these. So the first one is the EcoCat consultation. We completed that consultation, and the DNR determined there's adverse effects are unlikely. And they just had 2 recommendations that we install pollinators and that the fence height is, we leave a 6-inch gap on the bottom to allow for wildlife movement. So both of those things are incorporated into this project. The site design, all of our components and our design will comply with local, state, and national codes. We've complied with the McHenry County setbacks. I think we're actually beyond the minimum setbacks for this project. So we're in full compliance there. The equipment height, the ordinance says the maximum height is 20 feet. Our application says that we would be approximately 15 feet, but we actually will be much less than that. We just haven't finished the finalized design, so we wanted a little bit of room to move, but it will likely be at the 10-foot high level. There's no lighting installed as part of this project. As far as glare, we hired a third-party engineering firm, Tetra Tech, to complete a glint and glare analysis for us. And they've completed that, and it resulted in no glare impacts. It did result in a recommendation that the resting angle would stay at 5 degrees, which is going to be incorporated in the plan as well. As far as woodlands, wetlands, drain tiles, and floodplains, there are no trees in this area, so there's no tree removal as part of this project. There are no wetlands, and although it wasn't required, we did a full wetland delineation. We felt it was necessary to make sure that the layout, that whatever we submitted, the layout was the final layout. So it determined there's no wetlands in the area of our site plan, and we're in flood zone X, so it's outside of the 100-year floodplain. As far as drain tiles, we're not aware of any drain tiles on the property, but we will do a drain tile survey just to confirm that and work around those drain tiles, if there are any. 2F, native species planting. As I mentioned, we are intending this to be a pollinator-friendly site, and we've submitted a pollinator plan, and we've also engaged with a local ecologist here in McHenry County to ensure that what we plant, not only for the pollinators, but for the vegetative screening, is native and then will endure in this location. So we're continuing to work those final details, but it will be a pollinator-friendly site. Fencing, the local code or National Electric Code requires 7-foot high fence, so we intend to do that and again incorporate that 6-inch gap on the bottom. Screening, the vegetative screening, I believe you can see in your plan, all along Coyne Station Road and the north, west and southwest corners to go back that 500 feet from the right of way. Although it shows just a line, again, we're finalizing the vegetative plan, but they will be staggered. Staggered bushes in two or three different styles of bushes. So we're working with the ecologist on making those final selections. As far as the landscape monitoring and maintenance plan, because it's pollinator, it's a very specific type of plan that has to be incorporated to ensure the pollinators get established and remain healthy. So we'll be working again with that local ecologist on that plan and making sure that our specific, the mowing or whatever type of operations need to happen will happen to ensure the longevity of the pollinators. Agricultural impact mitigation agreement has been fully executed with the Department of Agriculture, so that's complete. As far as the road use agreement, we reached out to Grafton Township Road Department. I think it was Mr. Kearns who we spoke with. He assisted us on the location of the access road, and then we also talked about the weight limits on the road. We believe we'll be well under the weight limits, so we don't think a road use agreement will be needed for the type of traffic that will be coming in to drop the equipment off. If that changes for any reason, we're aware that we need to get that agreement. Emergency management plan and training. I did want to spend a few minutes on this. I feel like we have a pretty robust training program with the fire departments. We recently completed a project in Boone County at Belvedere, in the city of Belvedere. And part of our training program is to reach out to the fire departments, not just that will be responding to that particular site, but we reach out to the other departments in the area and invite them to attend the training. So, because we know the solar is relatively new and it's growing quickly. So we want to give them opportunity for either a refresher course or just to learn more about it. We typically have that training after we're mechanically complete. So the system's up, but it's not energized. So then we have a classroom session that's about half a day, and we go through the system and safety precautions, and then we bring them out to the site so they can actually see what we've been talking about. And so I reached out to the Huntley Fire Department, talked to them about that training program, mentioned that we prefer to wait until our system was up and running, but we could work with them to do more classroom sessions in advance of that if that's of interest. Emergency signs, so we have a 24-hour remote operation control center. So there'll be a phone number posted at the front of the gate so that we can be contacted anytime for any reason. Also, there'll be the high voltage warning signs around the fence line that's required. As far as county and fire department access, as required by the fire department or requested, we'll have a Knox box at the front at the gate for them to access an emergency situation. And we're happy to provide access for the county at any time with advance notice so we can be the qualified person there for safety reasons. Abandonment and decommissioning as required by the ordinance and the AIMA. We will complete, a third party will complete.
Speak of.
Yeah.
What do you know? I'm not giving it up.
Is it an emergency?
Not me.
Want me to evacuate and have this outside? Yeah.
Somebody escaped from across the street.
What was the alert? Emergency. Apparently just on that side of the room. Okay, I guess we
Continue.
can continue unless
It's only see
there's
flames.
something, yeah.
Okay.
Well water contamination.
Oh, okay, well, not here. I guess that's not an emergency right here. Okay.
Okay,
Continue.
continue.
Sorry.
Decommissioning, so yeah, we'll have a third party do a full decommissioning plan, that occurs after our final design. And then they'll put together an estimate of the cost for decommissioning. And upon approval by the county of that plan and those costs, then we would provide financial assurance in the form, usually in the form of a bond, to cover those costs if for some reason it was deemed abandoned. So that covered the principal use standards. I just wanted to briefly touch on the project maturity. We've gone beyond what's required for the application because we are intending to move forward, assuming we're successful here, quickly with the design and implementation of the project. So we've gotten the SHPO consultation complete. Again, we've done the full wetland delineation. So we're at the phase now where we'll do final design and then do the building electrical and stormwater permits. Anticipated project timeline, yeah, we would like to apply for the building and stormwater permits later this year, to mobilize for construction early next year, and then with intention of being construction complete the end of next year. As far as public engagement, so we've done a number of things to try to engage the public in advance of this meeting. Late June, I sent letters to about 20 neighbors just to introduce them to who Ameresco is and what the project was about. And then we held, and it also to invite them to an open house. So we held an open house on July 7th at the Huntley Rec Center. And we did have 2 neighbors come, and the landowner and the farmer were there as well, and tried to answer their questions or address their concerns. I followed that up with a letter with some more documentation to try to address their concerns. Separately, we reached out to Mr. Eric Ruth from the Grafton Township and just told him about the project, and he had one question about the screening, and we responded to that. We sent our project information to the senior planner with the Village of Huntley and the mayor of the Village of Huntley on July 11th, and we also had a representative reach out to them to discuss the project. As I mentioned before, we spoke to the fire marshal in advance to make sure we incorporated their requirements for the access road and the turnaround distances that they needed. And talked with Mr. Kearns from the Grafton Township Road District and posted the required public notice on both Coin Station and Ernesti roads. So as far as the community impact, this project is anticipated to generate over $1 million in property taxes, with sales tax revenue over $500,000. Ameresco, as part of building this project, will be investing over $3.4 million in electrical infrastructure. And then, as I mentioned before, with the community solar benefit to the community is anyone within ComEd territory can be a subscriber to the energy that this site produces. And
Battery ran low. Battery
we're almost there.
I did have it on silence too, it still came through.
Yeah. So as a subscriber, they would receive bill credits. So on their ComEd bill for the electricity portion, you would get a credit on your bill for that. So Illinois has really robust consumer protection requirements for subscribers, so they can opt out at any time. So it's a nice way there's really no risk. They just sign an agreement to be a subscriber, and they would get some reduction on the electric bill. Additionally, we're looking at adding approximately 100 jobs, or 100 people will be working on this project during construction. And we will be subcontracting with a local equity eligible contractor. Again, there will be a pollinator site, and the environmental impact that the site will offset about 9,200 metric tons of carbon dioxide every year, and that is equates to about the amount of carbon that 9,200 acres could sequester, or 2,100 passenger vehicles removed from the road, or the 1,500 electricity used for the homes. So I think that's it. I hope you saw that we are meeting the requirements of your ordinance, and happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, I think we'll just let you go down the line and everyone can give if they have additional testimony, and then we'll start our questions.
Okay.
Oh, on our side.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe some clarification, as she mentioned, with the community solar, that energy is.
Introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry, Paul Reduca, Resco, Director. The community solar she mentioned is energy that will be provided, credits provided to the community at a discount. So that's one of the impact that it has on the community, and some of the other.
Speak up a little bit, I don't think the people in
Oh, I'm
back
sorry.
can hear you.
So as Don was saying, this is a community solar project. The energy that's produced from this, actually people can sign up, local businesses and residents can sign up, and they would receive the energy at a discount. It's something that we've done in other communities in Illinois and other states, and it's been a very good success. And it's a great way to kind of share the benefit of the project. Also, that $3.4 million investment is into the grid that's outside of our fence. So upgrades to the substation, some of the resiliency on that, and that's an investment that we're making, that we pay the utility for them to make those upgrades in the system. That's all I really had. They hit everything.
I'm Olivia Dierig. I'm an attorney at Franks, Gerken, Ponitz & Greeley, and we've been consulting on this project. I don't have any testimony to give, but if anybody has questions about the community outreach that was done, I can answer specific questions about that.
I'm Rob Bukowski, civil engineer with Weston & Sampson. We're a consultant for Amoresco. I'm just here to answer questions if they come up related to the site design.
My name is Luis Alegria. I'm the senior director of engineering. I've been in solar since 1998, and I can answer any questions about the technology, the equipment we use, and how safe the equipment is. So yeah, open to any questions about the electricity or the panels, or yeah, I don't know how safe they are.
Okay, and we'll start with questions from the board, starting on my right, Mr. Koenig.
You had a table up there showing construction. Well, we didn't see it, but it's in it's in your packet.
Okay.
Showing construction traffic.
Right.
Could you call up that table, please?
Oh, is it from the packet?
Yeah, at least right.
I don't have that on the.
You don't have that.
Not on the overhead.
Which part of the application was that in?
In the narrative.
Yeah, it's in your narrative. Well,
Do you want me to pull it up?
if you have it readily available. If you don't, don't
It'll
worry
take me a
about
sec.
And I'll go.
It's page 9.
Do you know what exhibit letter that would have been?
It's page 9 of the narrative.
That's of the narrative, okay.
Or page 6, numbered on their document.
What page did you say?
Page 9 if you're clicking on the
Hold on.
Well, while we're doing that, am I correct that no portion of the project itself is in a wetland area?
Correct.
The trees will be removed?
Correct.
This is not, from looking at the submittals, this is not a SARA sensitive aquifer recharge area?
No, I
Correct?
don't believe so.
The soils here, as I recall from reading, have a very low leachability potential.
That's right.
Right.
So the idea of groundwater contamination in our aquifers is negligible? Fair to say?
Yes.
Yeah, actually the panels are what is called landfill safe.
Pardon?
The panels,
Could you identify yourself again,
I'm sorry.
please, sir?
yeah, Yeah.
And speak up. Some of us are hard of hearing.
I have hearing aids.
Yeah, so the panels are called landfill safe, so they can be dumped in the regular trash. So that's how safe they are. So there is no concern from the environmental department about leaching or anything.
Okay, when you say landfill safe, what chemicals are not in there that people are generally concerned with?
Well,
Or metals?
cadmium, telluride, basically. That's the main one that people is worried about.
And the panels are encapsulated as
They are
well?
fully encapsulated. They are glass is laminated, so the cells are between, and there is no way for the materials inside to leach out.
Okay. And, so this is what the anticipated, what we have up on the screen here is what the anticipated traffic is going to be, and a number of ins and outs from passenger vehicles and trucks.
Do you, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, no.
Do you want me to speak to like how we intend to park and do deliveries and?
No,
Okay,
it's not
okay.
necessary.
Okay, okay.
And I saw that from the IDNR report, they didn't anticipate any adverse effects, or adverse effects were, in their words, highly unlikely on protected species, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
I'm sorry, yes. That's correct.
And I saw that there's not going to be any lighting.
There's no lighting.
Okay, let's talk about sound generation.
Okay.
The equipment that generates sound would be the inverters principally.
Inverters and the tracker motors to move the solar panels, and then I believe the transformers make some noise too.
What are we talking about as far as any significant sound generation by any of those
So
pieces of equipment?
Yeah, we did look at the sound attenuation to see, as you move away from the equipment, obviously that's going to drop off. And so we took a look at where those are planned to be located with respect to the nearest neighbors across the street. And by the time you get through that distance, it's like the sound of I think it was breathing. It drops off so dramatically, and that doesn't even consider the fact that it's screened with the vegetation.
So if somebody's standing due west of the inverters and the transformers at the vegetation buffer, can you give me an idea of what they would hear? Something similar to a dishwasher, or I've heard people say, or less than that?
Dishwasher is tough. Paul Raduca. We just replaced our dishwasher, and I know it's a lot quieter than the one we used to have.
The cars passing through the street will be more noisy.
Okay.
And one thing to point out too is that obviously it's not operating at night when it tends to be quieter. During the day, there's more ambient back noise on there that drowns that out on there. But at night, obviously, there's no sun, therefore nothing is operating. So it's dead quiet at that point. So
And you folks, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
I was
interrupt.
going to say you can hear the grasshoppers.
And you folks will be operating this facility, not selling it to somebody else?
Correct. So we have, Amoresco has an O&M group, an operation maintenance group, specifically in Illinois. And so they are maintaining all of our sites. And they also maintain other solar developers' sites. So that group is actually growing. So yeah, we'll be operating it for the.
What kind of special training, this is for the audience, what kind of special training was, or advice was given to the firefighters?
As far as like
Responding to any emergency here on site?
So we prepared our emergency management plan, a draft for them to review, and so the fire chief has that. I haven't received a response from him, but it's probably because it's a draft and we haven't gotten through to construction. But I don't know specific. Do you have specific information about how they're trained?
Are there any special problem area or any special issues that one would not anticipate a firefighter encountering in responding to a fire in my townhome?
Yeah, well, it's different in the fact that there's no people within it. Obviously they're approaching something of a building that has people in it or can be having, within a dwelling, is they approach it much differently than that. As we always tell them, we have insurance and no one is to be put in danger on that. But we walk through they walk through the emergency shutoffs that are inherent with every single product that we have out there. And as Dawn said, we do the training for every single project we do. There's always communications with the fire department going through training. Obviously, our operations people are always available to do additional training as needed. So we develop a strong relationship with the fire departments to make sure they're comfortable in what they're doing and how they're approaching. But it's been around for a long time, and we've been through this.
And I think some of the specialized training questions a lot of times come up when there's a battery involved, because those are different. You don't just necessarily pour water on a battery. This doesn't have a battery system associated with it, so there shouldn't be anything abnormal about, putting out a fire or attending to an emergency situation out there.
I see you're providing a chain link fence. I know in other situations, we've generally asked for a farm agricultural fence.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd be willing to do an agricultural fence instead of a chain link fence?
Yes, we would be willing to do that.
More keeping with our area.
And as far as anybody local to respond to any emergency, I mean, any of your operators, are they nearby to respond to any emergency there? Or?
They are local to Illinois. They're not, I don't know that they live in this particular area, but then they will have people to dispatch if they need to. We have, like I mentioned, we have a 24-hour remote operations center that can remotely turn the system off if there's an emergency. So, and then they could get there to address anything on site.
Okay. And other than the facility in Belvedere that I saw it was supposed to go on stream in June, did it go on stream?
Not quite yet.
Not
We're
quite
working
yet.
through the final details with the utility, yes.
Do you have any other facilities, in fact, in operation here in northeastern Illinois?
We did a large Superfund project in Depew, Illinois. We've done another smaller 2-megawatt community solar project in Danville. We're working on construction in Freeport right now on 2 different projects there on their landfill. We've also done one, it's not Northern Illinois, but down in Alton.
That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Mr. Schnabel.
My question's already been asked and answered.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, you did ask a lot of questions.
Appreciate
It's good to be
questions.
second.
So I do have a couple left over. I did want to bring up about the fence. Could you please elaborate a little bit on the decommissioning plan, just for the sake of the people in the audience, so that they feel secure that this will not be something that they're on the hook for or will be left for them to stare at forever?
Right, so the decommissioning plan is, it takes a look at what we're installing, so it addresses our specific site. It's not general in nature, it's about our specific site. And it goes through and discusses the process of decommissioning, and also, as required by the Agricultural Impact Mitigation Agreement, we have to do a decommissioning plan that addresses everything, underground, above ground, and to bring it back to the condition that it's in now. And so then, once they have that full plan outlined, then they determine what the cost of that would be to do that full decommissioning. And, all that goes to the county for approval, and so they have an opportunity to review those costs and to tell us, no, we don't think this is in line. And so we would go back and forth until we come up with a plan and a cost that we agree on. And then Ameresco would provide financial assurance to cover those costs. And that goes with the county and stays with the county for the life of the project. And I believe there's intervals to revisit those costs as time goes on to make sure that as costs increase, inflation or whatnot, that the costs are adjusted, and then a new bond or an amended bond would replace that prior one. So then the county has the financial assurance needed if for some reason the site was ever abandoned, that they could pay to get the equipment removed and restored back to its condition.
Thank you. It's helpful. What do you expect the life of this project to be once it's up and running?
It could be 30 years, 40 years. How long are panel lives now? Like they even go beyond that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the guarantee now is 30 years. Was 20, then 25. Now they are double glass. Is 30 years. Is the expected life of the panels. Yeah.
Okay. And once it's done, if there's a new type of energy available, new technology, whatever, then this land can go right back to agriculture. Is that correct?
That's correct. Once we're done, we have to decommission it at the end of the list. So assuming that it's never abandoned, we would still have to decommission the system fully, and then it becomes up to the landowner what they would like to do with it.
Okay. And in the event of new technology coming along in, let's say, 10 years, now you've been on this site for, you know, at least 8 or 9 years, up and running, and new technology comes along, now what?
Like new panels, or we would, I mean, it would be.
Just new technology, like, oh, now we can get water out of the air and turn it into electricity.
Oh, right, yeah.
Do you have an in on that?
No, just grand hopes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you know, solar is.
Again, please introduce
Paul Reed,
yourself.
I'm sorry. Solar is different than a lot of energy production sources like a coal plant or gas, in that we no longer have any feedstock. We don't have to go out and buy coal or gas on there. We've actually bought all our energy up front on there. At that point, there's no reason to change the technology at that, because we've made that significant investment to get that return on the project. So all these projects, and I've been involved in the business now for over 17 years, is once you make that investment, you stay with that, and whether new technology comes along, be it more efficient panels or something that you may be in on, is, you know, that would be on a different location or a different application out there.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a very tried and true, you know, technology. There's panels still sitting on the moon as we speak.
So it's kind of then like the nuclear plants that are creating energy, they're kind of extinct at this point, but they're still working, so keep them going.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not going to put a nuclear plant there.
No, you are not.
No, I don't think that would be allowed.
It's a different condition.
Yeah, it's a whole different
right,
ballgame.
right.
Yeah. This is a very benign
Yes.
application.
Okay, and now I think this might be for Olivia. You were talking about outreach.
Yes.
Were any house-to-house calls made to approach people about what they can expect across the street?
I can speak to
yeah.
that, yeah. Yeah, so I did send out the letters, right, to all the neighbors in the area. So, and I did that by priority mail to ensure they got them. As far as, you know, door knocking, we don't do that anymore, just purely because of, you know, safety considerations and stuff like that. But, or I haven't done that, I should say. But I didn't reach out via phone, but I did via letter. And I did also get a call from one of the neighbors, Mr. C, who was a big proponent of the project and was asking about community solar. And so I provided him some information.
And there was also an informational meeting at the recreational
Right.
center as well.
Right.
Yeah, it was
The one
advertised,
in Huntley
yes.
you're talking about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, but you only had 2 people?
Only the 2 neighbors, the landowner and the farmer.
Okay, oh, okay. Yeah, open houses generally are, you know, like, I think I'll stay in tonight. you know?
Right.
Okay, I think that's all I have. I just wanted to make sure about the fence and decommissioning, and I think that's it. Thank you.
Mr. Eldridge?
Do you own the property or are you leasing it?
We're leasing the property.
And how long is your lease?
We have the lease for 20 years, but with optional extensions.
And what's the final extension? How
It goes
long?
up,
If it's,
say,
if
like,
you,
I think it's 40 off the top of my head.
so 40 would be the maximum you can do without renegotiating with the landlord?
Right.
Okay. And then talk about emergency issues just briefly. It's my presumption, tell me if I'm incorrect, that there's nothing here that is explosive or highly inflammable, that the panels and the racking and whatnot basically won't burn, that the inverters and transformers can catch fire but are not not terribly likely to do so, and putting out fires in both instances. Probably the biggest fire hazard is that the grass gets dry and catches fire. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I would say it's a fair statement. Yeah, there's no explosives. most of the material, the racking is all metal,
Yeah.
so there's nothing ready to catch fire on that side.
And the real risk probably is that you have a lot of electricity there, which needs to be turned off before the emergency personnel come on site.
Correct. And that could be.
Yeah, I can comment on that one. Luis Alegría, Ameresco. The system is a typical electrical system, very similar to what you have in schools, buildings. The transformers are the same type of units that you see, those green boxes in buildings. Those are gonna be the same type of transformer, no difference. The system has the protection that the National Electric Code requires, fuses, breakers, so if there is anything, it shut down. Like any system, when you make a short circuit at home, it's just shut down and nothing happens.
Yeah.
So that's expected.
And in fact, you have redundant systems for shutting it down if necessary.
Exactly, so the utility has reclosers, and we have, so there is double recloser, so there is a lot of security and safety features that the system, if anything go wrong, the frequency, the voltage, the current is not in line, it just shuts down.
Thank you, that's all I got.
Ms. Donner?
You had talked about the project taking 6 to 9 months in your narrative, and that you have 100 people, and I've heard that for the entire project. How many of those people, those 100 people, are going to actually be working in the construction on this property?
All of the 100, but not all at the same time. So it's 100 different people. So like the way the construction works, and you guys jump in if I say this wrong, but it's kind of staged. So, you know, we'll start with putting in the racking system. So that's one group of individuals that does that. And then after that, then the panels go up, and then the electrical gets run. So it's different individuals with different expertise at different times.
Okay, I ask that because with all these solar projects coming in, the numbers of people who are going to be putting them together changes drastically from one group to another. And I sometimes wonder, well, how do you do it with only 24? How do you do it? Why do you need 100? And how, over the period of time that it takes, I can see how that can happen.
And I just to add to that, I looked at our prior projects of similar size to see, because we have to track the people that work on the project for reporting to the Illinois Power Agency. And so I just looked and see how many did we use on those particular projects. And so it is an estimate, but that's what it's based on.
Sure. I'm looking for how many people in McHenry County are going to be employed for 6 to 9 months that may not have otherwise had a job.
Sure.
So I'm looking at that. In your narrative, on page 9 of your narrative, you refer to a general NPDES permit.
Mm-hmm.
What is an NPDES permit?
I can answer that.
I don't even know what it said that you did with it.
Rob Bukowski, it's a National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System. It's for stormwater. So any project that has the potential to disturb an acre or more of land surface requires coverage under the general permit.
Okay. Then last but not least, you talked about your $3.4 million that you're working to upgrade the system and what that entails. And you talk about upgrading the grid for the surrounding area. Does that mean that the people who are currently living in that area or any future people living in that area would have an additional benefit of an upgraded electrical grid that the rest of us don't have?
You know,
It's
hard to say because it's Commonwealth Edison is doing the work.
Okay.
And so like.
But it's still an upgrade, so it's an advantage for when people are trying to sell their houses or getting in, because I know everybody gets very interested in property values and everything that we read says that there's no effect on your property value, but this sounds like it would be an advantage, and I was just checking on that for you.
Right, so they're doing some upgrades at the substation, which is in that general area, and they'll be doing some pole upgrades too. So along Coin Station Road, they're going to be replacing and upgrading some of the poles. So there are those upgrades, I can't speak to what they do at the substation, how that affects everyone downstream, but it's not getting worse.
And I understand it, but there's
Right.
always
It's a little more
conversation
robust.
and people who know
Right.
and want to know. And I've heard that from some people who I consider to be quite intelligent and vocal in areas like that. So I
Sure.
thought I'd say, ask it instead.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
That's for me.
Ms. Bear?
Thanks. You mentioned, I think we've talked more about abandonment than we typically do in solar farms, and you both have a lot of experience. Is it common for solar farms to be abandoned and decommissioned in Illinois?
No, not that we have, Paul Reduca, no, I mean, I have the, I'm one of the few people, I think, in the country that actually built a solar farm and actually decommissioned it during my tenure. And the reason it was decommissioned was because it was on a school property. And when I came in to actually provide more energy for the school, we said, we'll replace this, your system. It was a very small system, and it was more of a showpiece for that school. And the panels were still working. We actually took the panels, they were sold to somebody else who put them on their barn, and actually, along with the inverters, they were still operating. And we replaced the system with new panels. There was basically zero waste for that, everything that wasn't given to that farmer who utilized that equipment was recycled. And the remaining was a bit of wood that was still left over from some of the racking pieces fit in one garbage can. But yeah, abandoning, Ameresco is a publicly traded company. We have a lot of people looking over our shoulders versus a company that maybe is privately held or small or a few people. We have a very stringent oversight internally, externally, that are looking over our shoulders to make sure that these projects are properly done. We invest in our projects. We have partners that are investing alongside with us on the tax equity. They have requirements. So we have a lot of people to answer to on these projects, and that's why we run a tight ship on this.
They're also extremely valuable assets in bankruptcy, and so they would be acquired through other generation companies, right? Like, the industry
Yeah.
is not decommissioning at an alarming rate as they're throwing these up.
Yeah, they're producing, as I said, it's an investment that's upfront, that's been made. There's no reason to, abandon something that someone else would actually come in to take over, so to speak. It's not the way we operate, but yeah, there's an asset that's there.
Thank you, that's all I have.
And my only question is, you're leasing the whole 75 acres, basically, correct?
We're only leasing the portion that we're using. So the original agreement was for a full, it's called the option agreement to give us the option. And so we had the ability to look at the full acreage, but no, when we move into the lease portion, it would just be for the.
Okay, because the conditional use was on the full 75 acres. But for your purposes, you'll never be more than, your lease is only for how many acres on the southern portion?
We're not in the lease agreement yet, but it would be roughly 40.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me, about 40. Okay, that was the only question I had. Does staff have any questions?
One question, just what is the typical height of the screening, the vegetative screening that you use on your projects, like at the time of planting and then at full maturity?
Do you have?
Want me to answer that?
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
Rob Bukowski. The way we show it on the plans is 5 to 6 feet high at planting. And depending on the exact species that's selected, if it's arborvitae, some of those can grow upwards of 2 feet per year.
All right, I think that's the only question I have.
Okay, now it's time for questions on the part of the public. If you have a question, I would just ask you to come up, identify yourself and your address, and then you can ask your question. Does anyone have a question? Your comments will be later. Yes, sir, please come on up. So that we can, if you would come up, then we can record you better.
I'm Dr. Mohsen Argavani. I'm one of the direct neighbors to the property.
And your address, sir?
I don't live at the farm. That my land is actually being farmed right now. But I'm talking about the PIN number.
Well, you still need your address.
Oh, my personal address is 3095 Henry Lane in Lake Illinois.
Okay.
But the property that I own is directly adjacent to this property.
Okay.
It's 1817 300 002. So one of the comments that you made is that you outreach to all the neighbors. I was never contacted. And this was the first time I actually heard about this. Obviously, you felt town halls, but as a busy person, I would have never felt about the town hall. The first time I heard about the solar farm going up next to our property was from a certified letter that I received from the county. And my land is a 20-acre land that me and 6 and 7 brothers of ours, brothers and sisters.
Kim, can you bring up the cover page for the petition, please, with the map? It shows the subject property, and maybe you can point out where, can you point out, sir, where your property is?
I don't, it's not hard to remember. Do you have the PIN numbers on top of it? Would make it easier. I think it's on the other side of the Ernest County, right here on the other side.
You're on north of Ernesti Road?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Here, I can pull this
Yeah,
up.
exactly on the north side. I think this is our property. This is my property right now.
Okay.
It's 20 acres.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, we bought that land as a generational land, 7 brothers and sisters, to pass it on to our children one day, to come together.
You have a question?
Yeah, my question is that why wasn't I contacted?
I apologize that you didn't receive the letter, but we used the property tax records, the addresses on the property tax records to send out letters to, like I said, 20 neighbors, so not just the adjacent, but even a little bit farther beyond. So I did send the letter.
But you said you sent certified letters.
I sent it priority mail, and so
If you could check into that and perhaps maybe that lost in the mail, I get back to you. That would be great.
Sure, yeah, I can look into that.
What was your address?
3095 Henry Lane, Lake Hills, Illinois.
Yeah, I had the letter here. So we addressed to that.
So then I may have never received it, so that would be so.
Kim, would he have been notified through?
The legal notice?
Yes.
Yes, and I believe you said you received the notice from
Yeah,
the
yes,
county.
I received the notice from this, that's why I'm here. I received the legal.
Okay. All right, anyone else have a question? Yes,
I
ma'am,
have a
please
question.
come up front so we can hear you and
Okay,
you can
because I
give
got a
the
real
credit.
voice. I was a PE teacher first, then special ed. I got a pool voice, okay? My name is Jeannie Ziller, and that's my husband Dan. We live at 9605 Coin Station Road. That's our home. Why is it on Coin Station and not on 47? Because we've got a lot of school traffic that goes up and down our road. Because we're the only back road that they get from the high schools here. This is Main Street, this is Coin Station. They all come up here instead of going all the way down to 47. So we have a
Can you
lot of
explain
school
the
traffic.
location, why
and
you
bustles.
picked the location, why it is where it is?
We're thinking it would have been better on 47 because they don't have any buses. They don't have any.
We'll let him
internet.
answer the question.
Yeah.
Can you show me where 47 is?
You're speaking of Route 47,
Yes.
which
The
is
map
about
doesn't
3
go
or 4
that far.
miles to the east.
It's about 3 miles. 3 miles east.
Well, the reason why we don't have a agreement with the landowner off of 47, so this is where our lease option parcel is. So we just don't have the opportunity to build off of 47.
Okay.
I will also say that from a zoning standpoint, the vast majority of 47 is not zoned agricultural, and you can only put a solar farm on agricultural land. 47 is primarily retail and industry for businesses because it's such a high trafficked and wide road.
So what's this gonna do to our taxes?
As far as the property tax, that, as we showed in the slide, there would be about $1 million of property tax that we'd be paying to the county over the life of the project.
So that won't affect ours?
No.
She's wondering if her property taxes will be affected.
I don't believe so, no.
No reason for it to be affected. Also, just so we're clear that when a system is operating, the traffic would be less than actually the use that is as a farmer right now as far as tractors coming over. We're talking about maybe 1 truck a quarter of going in to check on the system. It's a normal, pickup truck that you would see servicing the system on there. So there's, as far as during that whole majority of life of the whole project, it's very minimal traffic at all, much less than even as a farm would, frankly.
And certainly not primarily when school buses are running, which is early in the morning. and
Identify
afternoon.
yourself, please.
I'm sorry, Olivia Deering. It's certainly not when school buses are running, which is early in the morning and in the middle of the afternoon.
Lots in the middle of the afternoon.
Yeah.
And parents.
Yes,
Lots of
absolutely.
parent
They're
traffic
absolutely.
and student traffic.
Yeah, I agree with you. My kids are in school. I can't stand going to pick up and drop off because it's like trying to go to a concert. It's horrible. But this is, 47 is a wide road that is primarily for commercial development. That's why you don't see solar farms on 47.
That's too bad, because that would be a prime place for it too.
Anyone else have a question? Yes, sir.
Go for it, Dan. Speak up.
I'm Dan Zeller. I'm blonde hair. My question is, what are you gonna do with the water runoff on that property?
We'll let the civil engineer.
Rob Bukowski, I can speak to that. So we did a stormwater analysis that shows that there's no change in runoff patterns. There's not going to be any grading proposed. So the slope of the land is going to remain as is. So all the runoff patterns that currently exist are going to be maintained.
I've been there over 40 years. When we get a certain amount of rain, I get flooded. I drain all the land from the north, the east, and the west. It comes right down through the back of my yard.
So what we're required to do is make sure that post-construction, the runoff conditions remain similar or even less runoff than pre-construction. And the analysis we did, I don't want to get too technical, but the analysis we did is actually more conservative. So there's a runoff coefficient. The higher that number is, the more water runs off the surface than actually infiltrates.
Can you address,
wrong
can you
along
address
the line?
maybe the fact that you'll be required to have a stormwater permit? Can you kind of talk to?
Yeah, I mean,
about that?
that's more for construction phase, but yeah, we are gonna have to get a storm. That was the NIPD's permit that was brought up earlier. So we will have to get a permit through the state. So they'll
Okay,
review our
another thing.
stormwater plan.
What about the impact of native
Gonna
plants
be
that
set
you
on
have to put in?
Healy anchors? Your
Sorry.
panels, are they gonna be set on Healy anchors?
It'll either be driven or helical screws.
Well-
It's unclear yet, right?
So if you get any
No, it should
tile
be
in the
biased.
meantime, you're gonna reroute that tile and whatnot?
So part of the requirement is that we do a tile survey. We haven't completed that yet, but that will be done.
But the landowner is not aware of any tiles that exist on the property right now.
It's been there a long time. So,
But
What?
is it also a requirement that you would need to replace any drain tile that you would damage?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. We'll do the drain track tile
what
survey.
happens at the end of your termination of this project here?
When we're done.
What happens to all the panels and whatnot?
We will decommission the system, so the panels would be recycled. Oh, probably a lot of the metal would be recycled as well. So we'll pull everything out above ground and underground that we installed and restore it to the condition, its current condition.
I'll say something, a question. I'm Jeannie Saga, and I don't live on Coin Station Road, but I'm the landowner right across from the.
Can you give us your address, though?
Well, my address is in Crystal Lake, on Great Hill Road in Crystal Lake. But like I said, I own the land right across from the project. And my family farm is on Ernesty Road. So I grew up in that area, and I know a lot about the area. And I have a follow-up question to Dan about the erosion problem in that area. I know you said that there wasn't one, that you don't think there will be one, but the land across the road is a lot lower than the land on your proposed project. And every spring, when all of that snow would melt on those panels, it's gonna go across the road right over to my land, which is also a lot lower, and we already have water problems there. A lot of the land
You have a
isn't-
question. You can't do a statement
Okay,
now,
I'm
you have to
sorry.
ask a question.
But my question is, I really think that are you going to really have a study that's going to prove that we're not going to have this big erosion problem and have this tile study, because all these old farm fields all have tile.
Let her ask the question.
So
Let her answer
that's
the
my
question.
question.
The snow is gonna be on the ground every night. So Rob Bukowski, I think you're talking about two different things. So erosion is when
I know
soil
what
is
that
moved
is,
from,
yeah.
from water. So everything there is established vegetation. So I think what you're talking about is the amount of runoff that gets to your
Yeah,
property.
runoff.
So our calculations show that there's no change in runoff, and the main reason is because we're going from a cornfield to basically a pasture condition. The panels themselves aren't considered impervious because they're not directly attached to the ground. And they're, by tracking, you mentioned snow, the same amount of snow is gonna fall on that site after the panels as it does now. So when the trackers move, the snow would fall. It's not like it would accumulate to 2 feet and then suddenly dump, and then you'd have this big melting event. So in essence, what the study shows is that there's not gonna be any real change to the runoff conditions once the array goes in.
Yeah, but you know, when snowfall falls naturally, it soaks into the ground at a slower pace than when you have 40 acres of snow falling off panels all at the same time and sliding away. There is a difference, and I hope that the study addresses that.
So I think if this were a typical fixed tilt array that you see where the rows run east to west and they face south, on those, and we do inspections for a lot of the Ameresco systems that have been installed. So we've seen this firsthand, is if the snow gets significant, you could have quite a bit that sloughs off for the fixed tilt. But again, these are moving all day long. So whatever falls on them, it's gonna hit the ground that day.
And you said it would move from east to west.
Yeah, it follows the sun.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about, because the project's on the east and we're on the west.
No, the panels.
Yeah, but that's gonna be every single day. After the storm, after the storm, after a few hours, the snow is gonna be on the ground. The panels move every day completely from 60 degrees to minus 60. So any snow that is following on that panel is gonna get into the ground at night or in few hours. So there is not really a big dumping after a storm of 3 days or something like that.
Okay, and then I
Okay,
just
your
had
3
one
minutes
more.
are up. You can
Oh.
pass your questions on to somebody else if you'd like. We're going to see if anybody else has questions first. Yes, sir.
I'm a chemist. I have a very important technical question.
I'm sorry?
I'm a chemist. I have a very important technical question.
I'm sorry, I still couldn't hear you.
I said I'm a chemist, so I have a very important technical question that I would like to ask the panel.
Okay.
I provided you guys a written objection. So my biggest issue here is in regards to the panels themselves. Study after study, and I'm not anti-solar, so I have a PhD in chemistry with 25 years of industry in the chemical industry. So I'm speaking from a position of authority here, absolute authority. The panels are not just made out of
What's your
crystal.
question?
Here's the question. These panels have been proven to break down over time. They leach out cadmium, telluride, lead, antimony, selenium, gadolinium, arsenide, and what are called forever chemicals, PFASs. And this is an absolute fact. Study
What
after
is your
study after
question,
study.
sir?
My question is that what percentage of your panels in your study, when the operation is up and running, what do you guys consider as acceptable loss before you come in to try to fix anything that's wrong? For example, let's say you have 1,000 panels and then 900 of them are working and 100 are not working. And I want to know about your internal company policy that says, well, so far as 90% are functioning, we're just going to let the 10% just sit there and rot. That's a very important question. But
Okay,
as a person
so let him
who's-
answer it.
Yeah, that's the question. I want to know about your internal company policy, that how would you address to panels that are not functioning? What is the percentage?
So Paul Raduca, and actually Luis will also jump in too on this, but one of the things that you mentioned as far as some of those materials on there, what you're referring to is thin film panels that actually use the gallium and telluride. We're not using those panels. The panels that we are using do not have that, and they're encapsulated, which is been a change in technology for a while, so that they are sealed in there. The ones that you're talking about for potential leaching is you're referring to thin film panels that use those those ingredients or chemicals on there. We do not use those thin film panels, and we're not using those for this site on here. And as I said, they're encapsulated. Luis can maybe talk to you a little bit as far as
basically, none of the materials you mentioned are in the panels we are using. You mentioned like 6 or 7 components. None of them is in this one. None of them. These are crystalline silicons. It's sand. It's glass, basically.
What is the sealant?
The sealant is EVA. EVA, ethylene, vinyl acetate, which is
I know what that is.
Yep, has been improved for years, so now it doesn't degrade before. It used to degrade with UV and turn yellow, not anymore. So that can stay for 30 years the same.
Should I address the question about what is an acceptable level of? So when we purchase our panels, we purchase a certain percent over. So we have panels in stock in warehouse to replace ones that do go bad. So there's no reason for us not to replace them. We do our maintenance inspections, at least quarterly or a couple times a year. They will notice that. Also, we're remotely monitoring the output of the system 24/7. So we know when the output starts dropping, and if it's dropping not just due to weather, then they'll dispatch someone to go take a look at it and replace any components that are failed. It's lost revenue for us if we don't.
I mean, this is, as you said, this is the kind of industry
Okay,
that
your 3 minutes are up. You can make a statement later. Yes, sir, you haven't spoken. You can ask a question. Your name and address, first of
I'm
all.
Dr. Saha. I live in Crystal Lake, and my wife is Jean. She owns a farmland right up Point Station, also on Ernest Road. And my question is that area, the heavy residential area, the generations of people live there, they still live there and farm. Now you mentioned that you always have these plans, this solar system on the farmland, agricultural land. And I've heard recently that you mentioned that you have a landfill area in Belvedere. So why didn't you choose some area where there's not so many residential people who have been living there for years, long time? There are many farmlands that are not heavily populated. So why it is that the location, which I don't like, I mean, it's not a proper location in my mind. I mean, I think.
Okay, let her answer the question. You can make a statement later, but let her answer the question.
Why didn't you choose somewhere else?
Well, when we're selecting sites, we do look at the zoning of the site to make sure it's a permitted use before we even enter an agreement. We also look at tree coverage and slope and stuff like that to make sure it can handle the installation of solar. And the infrastructure with as far as the electric infrastructure and being able to interconnect. There's a lot of things that go into us selecting a site. But also, it's the landowner, right? Are they willing to enter an agreement with us? So this site happened to be a great site as far as, the way it was zoned, no trees, no wetlands. And the landowner was a big component of it. So that's how we selected this site.
You got your chance to ask your questions already. So you can make a statement later. Anyone else that didn't ask good questions? Okay, we'll move on to testimony from the public, starting with the planning department. Ms. Charlo, would you give us your report, please?
Okay, so the subject property is zoned A1 agricultural district. It is mainly surrounded by agricultural zoning as well. There is as we talked about, the animal house shelter just to the northwest there, and then some estate zoning as well to the north and to the west. The subject property is designated as agricultural use currently, and all of the surrounding land uses are agricultural and residential with the exception of that commercial land use to the northwest that we just discussed. The subject property is for the future land use is designated as agriculture, as is the surrounding area. We've gone through pretty much all of this. I went out to the site, everything was posted properly. I took pictures of the view from, north and south from the entrance, just to show whether there would be any sightline issues. I did not observe anything like that. I do believe that they have met and complied with all of the county and state ordinance requirements, so staff has no objection.
Does any board member have a question or staff?
Just for the record, the village withdrew their objection. Huntley did?
They did.
That's good.
Okay, I don't know if this is for you or not, but do your best here. For these homeowners or landowners that are adjacent and are having runoff problems, if the problem becomes worse after the solar farm is constructed and operating, what is their recourse?
I do believe that becomes a civil matter. They will be required to go through all of the proper stormwater permitting through the county, and the county will ensure that it is in compliance, that the development is going to be in compliance with the stormwater management ordinance. Once we've determined that, then it really is outside of the county's boundaries for any kind of enforcement on that. Of course, the landowners could contact our office, and our water resources department could take a look and make sure that there's nothing else going on, that there hasn't been additional grading or anything like that. Yeah, if it's in conformance during the review, that is what they're going to be looking at.
Okay, thank you.
Is there
Donna,
still
you have a
questions?
question?
No question, I have a statement though.
No, that's
No
later.
statement,
That's
okay.
in here. That's in the voting meeting.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff? Okay, so at this time, any member of the public who would like to make a statement, this is your opportunity to do so. You come up to the front, your name and address, and if you can say you have property adjacent to it, but I need your mailing address as well. And then you have 3 minutes to say whatever you'd like about the project. So whoever would like to make a statement, I will time you on my phone. Please come up.
I'll start out. My name again is Jean Saha, and my mailing address is 3615 Great Hill Road in Crystal Lake, Illinois. And I just wanted to say that I'm opposing this project because I don't like the location. It just doesn't seem right. We have this nice little agricultural neighborhood there. All the land is used for farming, and it has been for many years. It's good farmland, the best farmland in McHenry County, according to the soil plots that the county has. The other, across the street, we have all these gentlemen farmers, people that have lived there for many years. They own 2 or 3 acre plots. And the house right across is only 300 feet away from this, from the panels. And I don't think that's fair to them to be, subjected to this huge change in their life. I looked into this a little bit, and I wanted to say that Ameresco's project, the last one they did, that was finalized in 2024, it was put in Boone County. And what did the people do there? They put it on a landfill, because that was land that they couldn't use any longer, and that's what you call sustainable land use. I took a drive out on Route 20 towards Galena, and I looked at the projects out there. They're all on Route 20 because the road is busy. All you have are cars going by, and the project isn't like an eyesore for anybody. It's not causing a devaluation in their property value. Nobody even cares because all they're doing is driving by. I want to make note that there's this big substation, that's right on 47, just down the street, just down Ernestine Road. Why can't a project like that be in a location like that, right by a substation, so that you're not going to be putting in all these ugly poles all the way down Ernestine Road? I know that there's an answer to that. You told me it's because there's one landowner among all of our land out there who is willing to lease it to this company. And is that fair to everybody else in our little neighborhood out there? That they can do that and make a lot of money doing that just because they want to sell it or get rid of it somehow? I don't think it's right. And I want you guys to consider this and not just vote, yeah, it's okay to go forward with this. Can't you think of putting it somewhere in our county that's better for everybody? Not, you know,
Your time is
I
up.
want you to consider things.
Anyone else? Yes, sir, come on up.
I'm Dan Zeller, 9605 Point Station Road. I just want to tell you folks that I'm not in agreement with this because I did not get all the right answers that I wanted. And so, beg with us, vote no.
Anyone else? Does anyone? Yes, sir.
Most Montgomery, 3095 Henry Lane, Lakeland Hills. As I stated, I'm a PhD chemist with over 25 years of experience in the industry, and I speak in absolute authority. First, I would like to get technical documents for the panels that your company is talking about. Study after study has shown that no solar panel is the way that they speak of. They will degrade in the conditions of the within the Midwest. They will eventually degrade, and they will eventually lead to a blighted site. That's number one. Second, as a neighbor, I will say the same thing. My land is right across in the north side of it. I was approached by these companies repeatedly. I repeatedly turned them down because I understand, based on what you said, madam, that new technologies are coming up in a matter of years that they will put solar energy to dust. This technology is upfront cost, where all the cost for the has to be paid upfront for the solar panels, and most of the time these companies will never recover the cost of the initial investment. So as a result, they will go under, and what will happen is that the county and the people will end up by a blighted site, and all of us neighbors would have to pay for it. I am talking about that as a scientist. And the fact that new technologies that are coming up in regards to energy development will make solar look like burning wood, literally. So, and again, I'm not anti-solar. My biggest worries are technical, scientific, technical, scientific, and visual. My land is right across this land. We wanted to turn that into a 20-acre multi-family housing eventually, as our children, my children, my siblings' children grow up. Who wants to live next to something that's monstrous? I mean, you're going to have this monstrous field of turning panels going, whoa, woo, woo, all sorts of noise. Eventually, they're going to break down. They're going to, and no one talked about the kind of other radiations, potential radiations that can be, that can also come out of electrical facilities that are not even monitored, and we don't have the technology to monitor them. So I object this project because I am one of the members of this community. I own a great deal of property in this community. This land is great farmland. Let's not destroy the farmland that feeds us. I am telling you this as a scientist. Reject this project. You will find it, and in 25 years, 30 years, the county will end up with a blighted land that will have to be, that has to be somewhat cleaned up, and worst of all, we're losing a great piece of farmland. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hello. And I'm Dr. Shah, I'm a husband of Jean, and I'd like to make one strong statement that this location is not for solar system, because people, it's a residential area, so I think no solar system should be existing in this point station, off-point station. Thank
you. Anyone else?
Todd Prigge, 200 Hilltop Lane, Sleepy Hollow. My family is the family that owns the property. Dan's son, Dan, has farmed the property for nearly 30 years that my family has owned it. We've got a great relationship with Dan, and we'll continue our relationship as he continues to farm the remaining of the property if this is approved today. My family's wish was that we maintain the integrity of the land, and as my parents got older, unfortunately my mom passed away last July, and my dad just 4 weeks ago. So we were just starting to have these conversations of how to use the land for the benefit of our family generations. This gentleman talked about his generational plans. We also had plans as well. One of the big things we wanted to do is somehow maintain the integrity of the farmland, because we do agree that it's fantastic farmland. We didn't want to put residential rooftops on it. We felt that in that area, more housing would just create more environment issues than something else. And when this opportunity came up, it kind of fit my family's plan of what we could possibly do. Global warming, environmental impact, all that kind of stuff. We thought, hey, you know what? This is our opportunity to maybe try something that will make a difference. We don't know if it's gonna. I'm not an environmentalist, I'm not an engineer, I'm just a common sense guy. I understand that everybody has their own vision, but what has been presented by Ameresco and how they've dealt with our family through this project has been nothing but top-notch. We were approached by a lot of different other companies. Some wanted to put housing on it, some wanted to put solar farms on it. These guys really impressed us, and we're looking forward to bringing the project to fruition if you folks are so inclined to vote in favor of it. But we're not looking to be bad neighbors. We're looking to be good stewards of the land for generations to come, putting on more rooftops and more delivery trucks and more noise and more pollution in an area, as opposed to trying a project that may really start helping in many other communities, I think is what our vision is for this project. So thank you for your time.
I just want to say I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Do you have a closing statement?
Oh, yeah, I just appreciate your time and hearing us out, and I hope you saw that we are meeting your requirements, and we do also want to be good neighbors and do our best to do that. So appreciate your consideration and your time. Thank you.
Okay, then at this time, we'll close the hearing portion of the meeting and we'll move on to the voting portion of this meeting. We have some conditions for consideration. They're on the screen, but I'll go ahead and read through them. Staff offers these conditions for our consideration. Number 1, the conditional use shall have no time limit unless the use is abandoned as specified in 16.56.030.pp.4 of the McHenry County Unified Development Ordinance. Number 2, site development shall be in substantial conformance with the site plan prepared by Ameresco dated August 8, 2025. Number 3, the decommissioning plan shall be applicable in part as well as in whole if any portion of the commercial solar energy facility ceases to perform its intended function for more than 12 consecutive months. That portion of the facility shall be decommissioned in compliance with the terms of the decommissioning plan. Number 4, a McHenry County stormwater management permit shall be secured prior to construction. Any damaged drainage tile shall be repaired at the expense of the petitioner and in a manner satisfactory to the Water Resources Division Manager. Number 5, a detailed landscape plan illustrating compliance with required landscape screening standards and Illinois Department of Natural Resources pollinator scorecard standards and land management practices shall be approved by the zoning enforcement officer prior to issuance of a construction/building permit. Number 6, recommendations made by the Illinois Department of Natural Resources in their October 17, 2024 letter to the applicants with regard to protected resources in the vicinity of the project location shall be followed. Number 7, fencing shall be provided in compliance with the National Electrical Code as applicable. The use of barbed wire is prohibited. Setting fence posts in concrete is prohibited except for gate posts and where otherwise required for stability. Number 8, all requirements in McHenry County Unified Development Ordinance 16.56.030.pp as amended, subject to State of Illinois Public Act 102-1123 and Public Act 103-0580 shall be met or exceeded unless specifically amended by this conditional use permit. And finally, number 9, all other federal, state, and local laws shall be met. Are there any other proposed conditions?
Madam Chairman, I propose acceptance of the conditions as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Eldridge and seconded by Ms. Gardner to accept these conditions. Are there any discussion?
I have just, as a reminder, they have, and I'm not sure if it's a condition to add or not, but that they will use ag fencing, which was not in their original proposed conditions, and we have asked them to do that, and they have agreed. So does that need to be a condition?
Mary, it's covered in condition number 6. The IDNR made specific fencing recommendations, and it was acknowledged by the petitioner that they were accepted.
Okay, just on the record again, once again, is just to maintain that that's what we did, and I'm fine.
Okay. All right, I'll call for the vote. Mr. Eldridge?
Yes.
Ms. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Schnabel?
Yes.
Ms. Beverly?
Yes.
Ms. Donner?
Aye.
Mr. Kernan?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, the conditions are approved 7-0.
Madam Chairman, I move acceptance of the petition subject to the conditions.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Mr. Eldridge, seconded by Ms. Gardner to approve this petition. Discussion, Mr. Eldridge.
Yes, as staff pointed out at the beginning, under state law, we are required to approve a petition as long as it's met the state standards, and staff has testified that they have met the appropriate state standard. So it is our legal obligation to approve this petition. Having said that, I think that this is a reasonable location for this. The determination of the sites are partly where they can interconnect appropriately with the utility, and partly where they have a landowner who is willing to lease to them. This is, while it does have neighbors, it has fewer neighbors than a lot of the petitions we have been obligated to approve. I understand that people start out by hating the way these things look. In my own experience, a passive use like this is something that you will find disagreeable to look at for a few weeks, and then it's just something there that you won't notice. And with the screening we are providing, it won't even be there, as far as you can see, within a couple of years. A couple of people noted the concern about runoff. If they meet the standards, which is to maintain or repair the drain tiles and do the pollinator planting, and this will be enforced by the county. If they meet those standards, at very least runoff will be the same, and almost certainly will be better. There'll be less runoff rather than more runoff. We have had in a lot of testimony over the last several years that the use of the pollinator plantings will improve the soil over the life of this, so that in fact the soil will be better farmland when this is ultimately abandoned far in the future, long after I am improving the soil myself. And for all of these reasons, while I am obligated to vote in favor of it by law, I'm not uncomfortable in doing so, and I shall vote in favor of the petition.
Ms. Gardner.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Amoresco for their their presentation. It was very thorough, and all the questions that we had were asked and answered appropriately. For the people who need to live around this, I hope it's clear to you that we don't have a choice. We do need to approve these. This is a state law. We have to follow that law. Also, I hope it's clear that we don't kind of look at a map and go, let's put a solar farm right there. We don't do that. That's not how this works. It just comes to us after the fact, and we decide if it's a good place or not. Whether it is or not, we still have to approve it. We don't have a choice. I want to also commend the property owners, the farmers who came forward and expressed their desire to do this and their reasons why. I think that, you know, if any blame were going to fall on anybody, it would be you. You were so eloquent that no one's going to be angry with you. That was quite nice what you said, and it's how we feel on this board. We feel that this is a good thing, not only for the county, but for the country as a whole, as things stand right now. I will start a GoFundMe for my idea about grabbing water out of the air. If you want to join up, let me know. Otherwise, I am in favor of this.
Mr. Schnabel.
I echo the statements from the previous two board members, and I will be supporting the petition.
Ms. Beverly.
Thank you. Yes, I echo the statements. This was a well-prepared application that exceeded our standards. The site is not located on wetlands or woodlands, and this is an appropriate design.
Ms. Donovan.
I'm going to reiterate that this is passive use of the ag land, and there is no zoning change. So it will continue to be ag land for as long as it exists that way. Not putting houses on it eventually is somebody else's decision. It's also a positive change in many ways to the land because the repeated use of cropland, including the use of pesticides, is not necessarily a viable use forever. You can only do so much. We know that with the land, and that's why the land in Huntley and in your area is so important, because it already is prime land, and this can only help with that. Also, with the deep-rooted native plants, as Charlie says, the runoff may actually be a lot less than it would have been otherwise, because you're not cutting down everything and it's just there and there you go. I don't know that much. I have family that has farms, but I don't know that much otherwise. But I think that this is not a bad use, and again, we are required to say yes. So I will be saying yes to this.
Mr. Kernan.
Just a few comments. Section 16.20.040.E of our Unified Development Ordinance. You may have heard my colleague at the end of the table, if you were paying attention to the prior hearing, go through a lot of standards that she said weren't met. She talked about, is the use compatible with existing or planned development? Is it reasonable in the interest of public welfare? In 2021, as was pointed out, the General Assembly passed 102-1123. The state of Illinois wants to be a green state, and towards that end, they passed that statute. As a result of that statute, the section that would otherwise have applied to conditional uses no longer applies. That the property doesn't fit, that it's just not right to put it there, that the farmland may be the best farmland in the county, are not factors we can consider. If they want to put in a solar farm in property that's located, that's either zoned agricultural or industrial, the showings that they have to show are very minimal, and things that we could otherwise consider before the enactment of the statute no longer apply. So people say we really have no choice. We do have to follow the law, and as long as they meet the legal requirements, it's our obligation to follow the law and to allow the solar farm to be put in. The complaints that you have and the issues that you have, we don't make the law. those are issues that you raise with your local representative. And I know that representatives in the county, because this is an agricultural county, really are not fond of what the General Assembly has forced down our throats. And I know that's the comment of some of the members of the board. I've heard them comment on that. So you don't like it, go vote for somebody who's going to change things. That said, I'm in favor of the petition as well.
And I would just add, as part of this state law, the Department of Agriculture developed this agricultural ag mitigation agreement for the sole purpose to protect the farmland around this parcel so that your drainage continues to go uninterrupted. That's why they have to do a drainage tile survey. That's why they have to replace every damaged tile. And also that when this is finished, that they have to pull everything out that is designed so that it can easily return to the great farmland that it is now, that farmland will still be there, the topsoil will be there. That was all part of the agricultural mitigation agreement that was developed by our Department of Agriculture in the state of Illinois. So that's a protection that you have as a farmer, is what they did for you and as a landowner in protecting your soils and your drainage. So otherwise, I agree with the comments that have been stated about our legal obligation to pass this because of the state law, and I'm in favor of the request. So I'll call for the vote. Mr. Eldridge?
Yes.
Ms. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Schnabel?
Yes.
Ms. Beverly?
Yes.
Ms. Donner?
Aye.
Mr. Kernick?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, so this will go to the county board with a 7-0 vote approving this request. At this time, the hearing is closed. Thank you, everyone.
Who's looking at next week? You probably don't know.
I just have to stop the recording.
Should I recycle this?
Yeah. Can I take it? It's like the color I think.
Big.
I'm not sure we quite. We're into the second.
Okay.
We got through board questions.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, everybody enjoy the holiday.
Happy Labor Day, everybody.
Anna's next week, right?
Oh, you're not here.
So will we get it?
Yeah, this is your continuation.
No, it'll go to the September.
Finish what I started.
Yeah, September meeting. Yeah, the
Okay.
third Tuesday.
Okay,
And then after that, you get the signed ordinance.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
That was
Very
well. But now, I mean, we're supposed to go camping that week, but now my husband said just for surgery this day. And if he's at too much pain, I was his dad pain. Yeah. Well,
I have
and then-
I thought he had
I have a real fine.
he had the temporary and it worked, so now we're
Oh.
gonna put in the permanent and put in the meat. He's got to go nothing for 3 weeks. So